This is when she was probably drinking. This is when she was a teenager. And here's a picture when she was younger. This high school picture when they first got married. Christmas at my grandmother's. I mean, you look at pictures and they can seem so perfect and happy, but the next day things could fall apart. Just to show you, pictures can be deceiving. I was in my bedroom as a teenager. I was about 15 years old, and I began to hear my mother's voice and her behavior. I could tell there was something wrong in the living room. It was just a beautiful spring day on the weekend. So I came out, went into the living area, and I saw my mother just in a drunken stupor. She actually wasn't making sense, and as a teenager, I just couldn't believe she was that drunk, that she was behaving the way she was. I began to raise my voice at her to tell her to stop what she was doing because I was afraid she was going to hurt someone or herself. That's when she pulled a butcher knife out and aimed it toward me. When I saw that knife, I can still see it today, just coming toward me. I didn't really think she could hurt me because she was so intoxicated. But I began to feel fear that this would keep continuing and that she could get to that point where she hurt somebody or herself, because she would always threaten to kill herself. So I think I was more concerned about her killing herself than anything, which she did try to do. She actually cut her wrist at one point. I got a call from the school I was at, had to get in the car and go to her house. The police were there, and I looked and she had some blood marks on her wrist with some blood coming out, but it wasn't deep enough where I was afraid she could die. But the police were so concerned that she was such a harm to others and herself at that point, they took her to jail. Just an example of the mental condition that my mother was in at one point. I was probably in my early 30s, and I was in Guatemala on a mission trip, and got word on my way home that my mother had been arrested by the police. Come to find out, she had gotten on drugs and alcohol and went to the bank, drew out all her money, threw it in the trunk of her car. I think it was like $55,000. Drove into another town and left her car. So my family had to go and find the car with all that money in it. They found the car. The money was still there. It was parked near a hospital. So they brought the car back. But before she took off in the car the day before, she had actually knew the police were on their way, because I believe my father had called the police to come get her. She was just in a state where she was out of control. So when she realized that they were about to pull up, she actually took all of her clothes off, or the top of her clothes. I think it was just the top. She was half naked and just took off running when she saw them pull up into the woods in that state, trying to get away from the police. So when I heard that, coming home from a mission trip, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe she had stooped that far and gone off the deep end that much. So basically we had to get her put into a mental hospital to get her some treatment. I just grew very tired, and I just grew embarrassed, and I wanted to see her have help. So we wound up going to several psychiatric wards, even a state hospital at some point, because of her psychological condition and the drinking and the harm she was causing to herself and to others, especially my father, who enabled her a lot because he didn't know how to handle things at the time. And so he'd try to please her just to keep peace, but it just didn't always work. As a child even, and growing up even through up into my 30s, I would think, well, if I had just been a better child, if I had done something different, maybe my mother would have been different. Maybe she would have overcame her problems. So yes, I definitely felt guilty at times. I felt like I should have been better. So there were a lot of memories, there were a lot of things, even up to the day she died, that were hurtful. And I realized that she wasn't going to change. That it is what it is with her. But I had to have peace in my life, totally forgive her. It wasn't easy. I had to have help with that. And it didn't happen overnight. But I've come to a place now where I can't be responsible for those things she did. It became a gradual process, but there was a day I was actually praying and a revelation came to me that these people are not my responsibility, that they're God's, they're His. And when I realized that He was a lot more in control than I thought or felt, I was totally set free of those feelings, totally set free of the guilt. And so I never went back. That's been many years ago. I've never gone back to the place of feeling like it was my fault or there's something I could have done better. And so through that, I've been blessed, been so blessed, and just living the way I feel God would have me live. Made all the difference in the world. You don't have to be a victim of your past, is what I found out. That there's great hope and there's good things that you can live in and live through and have just by making the right choices.